develop, all your ovary, circles, your womb must be prepared to carry a baby. You know, if those things are not biologically, if you are not at that stage, you cannot get married. You shouldn't. That is what I will give an example. You know, there are some culture when they get married as early as 14 years or so, they end up with diseases. Their bladder will break down. They will not be able to control, you know, their menses, you know, continue to run throughout the year. That is the effect of getting married early. So you need to be physically developed. Then income, if you have no income, please don't. Don't say the church will take care, the pastor will take care. Don't do that. Emotionally too, you must be prepared. Because you have a lot of things emotionally you have to take care of when you are married. If you are not prepared, don't do it, because you are definitely going to break down. So I think these three are more important.
Pastor, I like it.
But don't wait till when you are rich anyway, because you will never get there.
Pastor, I like you to add to this, and I want you to focus on the emotional part. But any other thing that you feel you need to be ready before you get married. I think the emotional part, it's kind of like we can't really define it. It's not something you can hold your hand on. Like money, you can hold your hand on. Education, you can say, okay, I have my certificate. But emotionally, you can't really say this is
not really going to school. Some might not even going to school, but
yeah. But it's something physical, right? Something you can actually quantify.
Let's first of all be very sincere with one another. We're living in the 21st century. If you don't go to school and you want to get married, you are going to get married to who?
Personally, go to school. But these days, if you are rich, you even get those who doesn't go.
Wait. Let's get it clear. You are not living in the developing world.
Yes.
You are living in a developed society. I have often said it, and I'm not going to mince words, and I say it without any reservation. You don't go to school, you will construct house for me in the winter. And you will labor in the cold in this Western world to serve me, who has decided to go all to the top. And I tell you one thing, it's not easy to go out there and walk in the snow. You know certain things that is happening. Most of the people that are buying homes, buying these, they are immigrants. So do you think all those Canadians are happy constructing homes for you? It's not that easy. So that's why they go on drugs, to keep themselves high. So that just to think about their folly. See, you need to understand the way their minds work. So if you hear tomorrow that somebody jumped from the 17th century, it's not just ordinary. The guy is frustrated. The father, mother says go to school, you will not go. No problem, don't go. If you don't go, it's not for me, it's for you. So number one, I'm not going to put it as maybe not. It's not negotiable. If you don't go to school, you are going to marry a pauper. It's just like that, and you will not be living on welfare. It's not the best for you. You can't do that. Number two is the fact that you must be mature physically. I'm coming to the emotion. She has already mentioned it. It's very, very important. Marriage is not having sex. That's all. You need to get that. One thing that's going to surprise you is that by the time you now get married, you cannot have sex every minute and every hour. It's true. That's the basic fact. Even if you do, there is one day you will come, your wife will say, okay, come and have sex. There is nothing to ejaculate. You will just keep quiet there. So you need to realize that marriage is not all sexual affairs. Let that help us to jump into the area of emotion. How are you going to handle the fact that your husband is coming from office and you are not prepared for it and the guy has just been fired? And he's going to get home and get annoyed with everybody. How are you going to handle that? If you don't know how to handle challenges and uphill tasks, you are not going to be able to make it all the way. Or maybe you are still having your work and your wife is passing through maybe like your normal morning sicknesses when she is pregnant, and you now say, why don't you just go and make that food? You need to be able to recognize how she's going to react to you. There are women, you are going to be speaking to them in the morning, laughing at you by the same time. Excuse me, listen very well. By the next hour, she's misbehaving. And that will always be until you are dead and buried. It's not going to change. There are people who are married for over 25, 30 years. If you see how the woman, may I tell you one thing? There are times the general overseer and the wife. Maybe that's one that will help you. The general overseer will be married for only God knows how many years now. And the wife will now come up 40 years, I guess. I think he celebrated 40 years just some few days ago. And you will see, say, okay, mommy, it is time for us to go for that meeting. We are coming, now wait for us. Meeting is 6 o'clock, and the general overseer's wife, let us say, he say, is it not 6 o'clock? And what time are we now? 5 minutes to 6. And you are going to drive 30 for some 10 kilometers. Say, we will get there, now don't worry, they will wait for us. What kind of, how do you want to react? And you are the one that's going to minister. These are the ways you must develop yourself to be able to balance out things. That doesn't mean, like he said, you cannot tangibly hold on to it. I may not be able to express everything around here. And they want to wake up and say, okay, the woman says, look, that clothes you are wearing is not the best for that occasion. We're going to change it today. And you say, look, I don't wear native. And the woman says you are going to wear native. How do you want to react? You see, these are the ways you have to build up yourself to the point that you don't just get annoyed all the time. Sometimes you have to keep quiet. Sometimes you have to just be at the wrong end, and I give you an illustration to end.
Sometimes you have to cry.
Sometimes, mostly the women cry. It's true, that's why she's telling you the truth. But when the man now put his feet down and say, no, I'm doing it this way. No matter what crocodile tries, it's called. The man must be emotionally strong enough to say, look, we are going to the other side at that time. I know 2 illustrations I'm going to give you. I know a lady that said to me once that when my husband insisted and shouted me down at that particular point when I'm going nuts, I like it. That's the lady saying that. So I just prefer it that way. Otherwise, I will just go nuts completely. Now, if the man doesn't know what to say, okay, no completely, at that time, the marriage will ruin. And there are times also the same man will not say no all the way. He will just say, okay, just have your way. That's how to balance it. And I said, I'm going to give you yet another illustration of all this emotional thing. I said there is a man. After so many years in marriage, he saw the man and said, look, you are looking so slim and you don't have so much flesh on you. He said, you know what, you want me to tell you the reason behind that? I realized that myself and my wife, we always disagree with one another. And we said, whoever is at fault will go out walking. Said for the past 30 years of marriage, I've been going out doing what? Walking. So that's why I'm like this. So you see, the man has grown up emotionally to the point that even when he is not at fault, he says, I'm at fault, don't worry. He'll go out and walk. Because he doesn't want the woman to get on his nerves. That's somebody that is matured also. That's what I meant.
There's something that I feel that we haven't touched on here, and I just take like a minute or two to touch on it. I feel like there's a spiritual part of being ready too. So do you want to take a shot at that moment, Enikanolaye?
Yes, that is very important. There's the spiritual part of getting ready. The spiritual part too, you cannot measure it, because some people come to church and you feel they are spiritually mature, and yet they are not. So it is you and the Holy Spirit that can actually confirm that. I wanted to mention it, but I want it to be the last, even though it's the most important. But there's hardly anybody that can determine your spiritual level. Because you can end up, except, maybe the pastors, God has given them the spirit of the discerning spirit. But you'll be doing yourself good to own up if you need a spiritual counseling. If you know you are not there yet, don't pretend that, oh, I'm spiritually okay, I'll be able to handle. Because from my, my own life experience, I always want to give my own experience. When I gave my life to Christ, I was able to live comfortably, peacefully with my husband. After I gave my life to Christ,